Kinich. How many of you are watching this video are saving your proto-gamers for Kinich? And the arrival, Silonen or future banner and everything that happens and believes. Expectations in NATLAN makes us shake that willpower. Today in this video we are going to talk about Kinich, what we expect in about less than a week. If I coordinate the release of this video well, you know I record things in advance. Let's see the things that today are already real about Kinich's gameplay and other things that are beta that could still be. Change team dependencies to the future. Actual potential, and I think many of you are also wanting to prepare a little pre-build. Give you an idea of what it can take or not. So how it's slick and it's willing to changes until public is careful with the pre-builds that the devil carries them. But today, we will see the pre-build. We will see the expectations. We will see how I say the facts, and also the speculations about Kinich, and as the title says, a great that we expect from Kinich, so leave a good like, a good utility on it. Subscriber, leave a good comment for algorithm. Thank you for how well the video of the traveler is going. Is the video more crazy and that most exploited from the entire channel? Quite a while in fact, so if you haven't seen it, go to see it, and I wanted to take advantage of it. To thank you, we see in the direct link below the description of fact. We continue to extendable. This is crazy. It's also going to be the biggest extensible channel, so again, thank you, and it doesn't cost you anything, helps the channel a lot, so thanks for that piece of like, and subscribing with bell helps us grow to position the video and the channel, and that is recommended. And we're going to expect Kinich very well. Kinich's summary isn't like analyzing his kit. Don't worry. We won't get in details, a little complicated, but basically Kinich happens to you the following, and it's number 1. And this is very important, and that being carrier of Android others, its gameplay, as it has a certain mobility, and the first fact, as I said. At first, the video will analyze is that with Bennett and Kuki, to be able to play alongside Bennett, who, and his attack Bufo. Maybe Burn or Crackle teams will have their pluses and minuses. And now I explain to you because a lot of people say that definitely. It doesn't work with Bennett, and this isn't like that. You have to be extreme enough to understand that it doesn't work with Bennett, because if you see the gameplay, you can go in and out of Bennett's ulti, and Bennett's ulti leaves you a delay with the Bufo of 1.5 seconds. So you always get out of Bennett's ulti, you'll get perma Bufo, and you can play with Bennett, will really see the complications in gameplay, but the betas don't have too many, and the same with Kuki. There are people who comment that it can give a small problem, because by moving so much and jumping, Kuki's pulses don't explode the high problems well, but the reality is that it can generate discomfort and not being as perfect as it could be with other teams, but of course the door is not closed to play with Kuki in old teams of high problem. Although as I said, without constellations it will not be as good as the Tignari Gizmo in the end. Same teams of high problem is the first factor that we will develop, and will also be part of things that we will talk about in the video. The second factor that is very important of Kinich is that because of its element inside, many people already know that it arrived. A Shilin, and Shilin is a spectacular character who plays a role super similar to that of Kazuha, but above cures, but no. It gathers you enemies, and this makes Moalani better with Shilin, but of course Kinich cannot benefit from Shilin Bufos. Neither of the set, because there is no crystallized inside, nor the passive to lower resistances that only lower resistances of the elements so that interact with GOIE4 elements, Pyro, Electro, Cryo and Hydro. Then Kinich will not go on equipment with Shilhenna. Of course, it doesn't have to see. Kinich will go on teams, both old high problems and new ones, mainly I guess. Burning and getting shuffled internally in character programming and development, and amazing team cracking more. Burn it as Elihitham's opposite mirror with the most high problem sprit for you to understand me, because he commented this, because obviously because a character Pyro is the one who can explode the crackles, and not Kinich, then Kinich will depend so far from Siangling or someone who applies Pyro for the Kinich burn if you want to play a double career inside it. Just like Elihitham is played double inside with Kuki and a Hydro, as the second inside Kinich can be Nahida or Emily. But they are actually not going to work in any way with Shilni now, in short accounts, which is what he has and does. Ulti invokes the dragon that is striking out of the field. Decent damage is not its main source, but it is a source of damage. Interesting, and that is reapplying inside to reactivate burns or general reactions from inside, and Kinich in field is giving laps around the enemies as it leaves them marked or pointed is very interesting gameplay to me. Personally, I like it very much, and you're hitting normal attacks that will give you noctambulism points until you fill the bar. You can put a gun in if you have a passive gun if there is cracking or burning in the team's Korea and the reactions are executed. Kinich gains more noctambulism points with what he's going to put before the clear cannon in normal hyper-lumid teams. More will only put 2-3 cannons per rotation, but with a 1000% scale, and then will gain more damage apart with the Night Salt. Burst is to say what is called the noctambula explosion in Spanish, and this makes equal goal 2 strong cannons. In hyperlumide, the electro equipment in general and 4-5 cannons in burn and cracking equipment will go with your set. Of course, and it will happen to you the same thing as Mualani apparently is, that even though Kinich has a number of multi-hits. Very interesting because your normals are, I think, 2 recurring hits and your ulti is also hitting hits. Your hard hit will be that gunboat with 1000% scaling, similar to Mualani, as he commented on the topic of making a very large number and needing probability. So we don't miss that big number, so we don't lose a lot of damage, and so far, this is what we know about Kinich. There are important things. Number 1, as I said at the beginning of the video, you will have no problems with either Bennett or Kuki, but also the most important thing that basically also affects Mualani and the characters of each region in general has to be taken into account. And it's that being a carry inside, and in this case having synergies with the Pyro, because it's going to depend on future characters. Not as I have just explained specifically if it is not going to work, and there will not be Kinich teams with you, but yes, with Mavuika and with some sort of 5-star Lingo Xiang outside the field, because it is speculated and spoken in all the nets that the Archont as can be support, Xian Ling 5 stars, but it can be a carry Pyro in field, and it is rare that the carryings that initiate the regions do not agree with the Archon support of the region that is their best in slot Furina with Air. It's carry that might be Mavuika as well, but there'll be another character that's a Xian Ling 5 stars, like maybe a Traveler, like maybe it's Balank, like maybe you don't know, then depending on future characters might even enable US. Some kind of burn core, i.e. Kinich in field with a Pyro sub DPS to build burn and some other Cryo sub DPS. Maybe it could be some of the Cryos who are looking forward to arriving as a Citali to play with a burn core. Field Endrian cart and a Cryo sub DPS melting reverse out of the field, and this would be similar to the team. Zoa Yingo doing vaporized, but with a Cryo character out of the field, that's going to work, and this can be very interesting to finish. As I explained to you, will work well in teams of Dendro and Hyper Bloom, will depend on characters. We'll be testing him on the first day as he comes out, but let's talk about it. Now, about the weapons and the construction, because I told you that we will talk about the pre-pharmaceutical, and a lot you are commenting surely. I already feel that. How is the pre-pharmo stop explaining Kinich things? Because, well, Kinich, let's talk about weapons, because many people have asked me Kinich Chero or weapon or Kinich Cone C2 if I put weapons of something else, because, well, Kinich mainly. You're going to have 4 weapons at your disposal, simplifying it a lot in the build. Surely this will lengthen it further and have tested it, but obviously his weapon is going to be his best weapon, as in all of Genshin's characters. His second best weapon is going to be weird, because maybe you're out of probability, but it would be the emblem of the Sea of Reeds of Dihaya that gives you high base attack 33 probability, and 40 extra % attack on his passive weapon. The problem is that this weapon gives you 33 probability plus 40 set. Plus 5 base are 78 probability with a critical damage helmet with substantial probability with 6 probability already you put at 84 probability, and it's true that with Mualani Kinich you need more normal probability, so I explained to do few hits but very large of a very large climbing, then it will be your best weapon, but it will be very complicated with the emblem of the Sea of Reeds weather proportion. Your weapon, for those who do not know of a base attack, very basic, that is to say the highest of the game. The 741 base, but it gives you probability but less. I think I do 16 or 19, I don't remember well now the exact number then. Your weapon will be your best weapon, but your weapon, by giving it less probability, will be even more complicated to get to the damage cap. On the other hand, the missing weapons are free to play, and perhaps they are the ones that I would recommend in case of doubts or not. Have the C emblem of reeds, and is that really the dark rock that gives you 55 critical damage and the weapon of the forge? The controllable of the current Forge of NATLAN are very good for Kinich. The problem of the controllable of the current Forge of NATLAN for free-to-play is that it does not give you critical proportion, and it will cost you to reach limits of critical proportion. However, the Dark Rock that is also free-to-play if you are going to give critical damage, and think this calculation for the most free-to-play. Since I would recommend Quinichero with Dark Crag, and those that you are raising there is file the weapon, the cone, the C2, nothing save, because you're going to want to take it out if it's non, and if it's non-C2, it's going to come click was going to come from Rands, and fast it's going to come. The Sakons Rand was also going to come back Shang, and will come back Ryodsley, and Novuika will come, and there will come some Fachui, and he's going to come if people like that are going to keep going, and he's going to come, and he's going to come, and he's not going to come, and those characters aren't going to come. In the end, no, but it is better that we settle base because it is a Kari, and capable already in the rear end because to draw me constellations, and luckily, Kinich has this compo. Let's say items and weapon that I think for him, it's simpler than Kinich Cherogun of the Rock. Dark, that gives you 55 critical damage, the controllable. And if you notice 5 base probability plus 40 set, you already have 45 probability. Without doing anything, and then Kinich when climbing scale level with critical damage, with which you have a critical damage helmet of 62 more. 38, that scale to the voltage of ascent. When level rises are already 100, 100 plus 50 base. Of all the characters, 150 and 150 more. 55. The Crag is 205, i.e., you would standardize on 45 odds, 105 years critical, without doing anything, and without artifacts would be very easy to reach 80 probability and 240 critical years, and from there take the recharge to have Primalton. You can play with Bennett to make up for the attack, and I think that's the recommendation I would give in general, and I'm thinking about it. Play it that way unless you fill this goal that's here, which is the Kinich weapon, then the pre-farm, or it's that simple. The clock will always be an attack until something changes in the beta, or something like that has no doubt, or any kind of doubt, of a rare thing in your kit that tells us that you will not go with attack on the clock. The Khalid is going to be always inside, and the helmet the set. It already gives you 40 probability base, and its weapon gives you probability, and the Reed C emblem is probability. And if you go Crag, I mean, you don't have a chance, you don't care, because you have 45 of probability, 40 in the set, and 5 on the base with which the helmet goes. To always be critical damage also, so the pre-farm or Kinich is relatively simple, until if something strange happens. And we found some kind of surprise in the teams on the build and the characters that they have synergy with him, and it turns out that I can change something. We'll tell you about the creators. But he doesn't have enough. He doesn't have much trouble. He doesn't have any mystery. Beyond is the pre-farm of Kinich teams that will be able to play initially, because I imagine some kind of cracking more. Pupa Bloom playing as if you're going to hit normals and normals repeatedly will be able to see without going dive. So some kind of crackling playing Xiangling without Emily Kinich, even if you don't wear heater or anything you're going to be able to. Play that Crepitar school perfectly even instead of without, and the end plays Yellen, Xiangling, Emily Kinich, and you will have a amazing team. If you want to put there, for example, some other character instead of the consonants of in drop, could be Azo Putasong and as defensive bearing, and you will not be touched. Pure burn teams of Bennett, Kinich, Emily, and Sia. Linzob DPS then, also as well as Alalani on many teams, where if Anglin do not have it because they are another team, and you want to put something in there to help you because Zoma or Dihaya as well as like Alani, for more or less they can also do things, mainly Deya C2 for the time that allows you to have your skill in field with C2, but just like Alani. Definitely any team where Deya can get in is going to get much better as Xiangling, and you can tell that there's going to go in there. The better Pyro to than Xiangling you will be a 5-star Xiangling instead of concluding in 20. Concluded 16 or 15 or something like that, is that I'm sure it's going to be something like that. And if it isn't, Mavuika, it's going to be the Traveler. Or Expalin or some character Pyro from birth, and little more. I really don't want to lengthen the video because Kinich is all this. I just told you it's Crepitar cores more burn or just burn, and we'll try just like Milani you can play. Only in vaporized or vaporized on burn, and it is noted that the strongest core is that of vaporized on burn. Because Kinich, it is noticed that the strongest core will be a crackle more burn. And we will see which combinations we can pull out there too. Improve the damage to the maximum and well, that's going to scare me honestly, but it looks like that team that I finished you. To mention, it will be one of the best in slot to Kinich we will try on the first day, and with this final pearl for you to test. You check and keep that team up to date. I leave you with the video. This is what we expect from Kinich. It looks really good. In Constellations, it looks like being the best Cariandro of all the game on all the inside teams, little more to leave. A good helpful subscribe, leave a good comment for the algorithm. Thanks for enjoying and watching the video. We don't have it in direct, so that under the description, as I say, it doesn't always cost you anything's free. I observe you and thank you. In what you are giving, like signing up with Bell and commenting, thank you very much from the channel team and bye.